one of them say, look, hold on. Look, this one says unlisted, and then, oh, which one you just looked at? Oh, and then this one,
Hold on.
you should make them unlisted.
Are you back? Think so.
Ask them to get a notification. Maybe you should like. Stuff
1
live.
2 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
One of them say, look, hold on.
Yeah.
Look, this one says unlisted.
They hear me. All right, folks. Work with me for a few minutes. Just going to see if this continues to work. Oh, Lord help us.
Just go to OBS.
Second. Looks like it's working.
We changed it. We changed this. I don't know if we should just say that.
It's Joe Biden's campaign getting in the way of the audio. All right, well, let me see what I'm doing here. So, sometimes in life, things don't work, but you never give up. Never give up. So we've been trying to figure out our audio, our internet issues, and it seems now to be working. Who did this to you? Either YouTube or Joe Biden's campaign, or maybe a little bit of both. Hold on. Back. So I don't really know what was causing the issue. It could have been our cookies, not like literal eating cookies. Could have been cookies in the browser. Could have been the stream key on YouTube. I don't know, but it looks.
What you said, but it seems like whatever it was, Ty figured it out.
Oh, interesting. Seems like Ty did help us figure it out, so thank you to him. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. Let some people come back into the live stream, unless they've given up on us. Unless you're Biden, then give up. So I'll just talk to you peeps in the live chat until we get the audience back. It seems like, hey, just became a member. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Lady Hawk. That makes you, let's see what number we're at. I think we're like 1 or 2 members away from 700 Status Quo members, which is awesome. Yeah, we're at 699. 699 Status Quo members. So, Lady Hawk, you are our 699th Status Quo member, so that's outdated. Can we get one more? Who's going to be lucky number 700? One more member to get to 700. Thank you, Lady Hawk, for joining as a member and for the super chat. I'll get into membership a little bit more. I think we need to first make sure we could stay live for a while. But I think we've figured it out. So that's very, very exciting.
I'm glad you say we.
Thank you, Ty.
Interesting.
Thank you, Ty, for your help.
We figured it out.
Ty's still living in my apartment, leaving
Tell everybody that.
Q-tips all over my apartment, on my bathroom sink, kitchen sink, floor. But anyway, somebody farted at a Joe Biden rally. Oh, we just got one more? Did we get another member? Don't excite me. No, we're still at 699, so we'll give it. And thank you, Jen, for being so patient. Remember, I might be on camera, but Jen is doing the super chat on a summer Sunday, where I'm sure her kids would love to hang out with their mother. So thank you. We're not going to go that long because we've had like 2 hours of issues, but we do have something very important to report on. I'm just going to wait till we get over 100, and then I'll start on the topic. And let me just thank a few people, because we did get some GoFundMe contributions as well while we were having the tech problems. So we're now at 67,690. Thank you to Terry for the $5, Anonymous for the $5, Christine for the $25. We got Michael at $20, Arlene at 25, Natalie at 17, Brian at 10. So, $310 away from $68,000. If we could cross the 700 member threshold and hit 68,000, that would be amazing in this very, very difficult Sunday live stream. But In the first hour, when we weren't having the tech issues, we went through some more of CNN's douchebaggery. And now, I got to be honest with you. At this point, I think it's irresponsible of the corporate media to continue calling what's happening with Joe Biden gaffes. These are not gaffes. This is somebody clearly in cognitive decline. I don't mean that as a knock. I don't mean that to be unpleasant. I don't mean that, I don't wish him poor health, even though I don't agree with him politically. I mean that as this is really the last person you want on a debate stage with Donald Trump, who, in fairness, might himself have some cognitive decline issues. Seems like he's totally out of control this week. But if you watch Joe Biden, I mean, it seems that this is not my medical opinion because I'm certainly no doctor. It seems like the more he travels, the more he campaigns, the more he suffers cognitively in terms of not knowing basic finishing sentences and now not even knowing where he is.
That's how it starts.
Yes. So we got 111 people watching. As a reminder, smash the like button. Let's get the audience size back up. So we got 110 watching. 40 of you have pressed the thumbs up button. Thank you for sticking with me. It's been a difficult technical afternoon, but seems like things are working again, thank God. Smash the like button. The more people that press like, that thumbs up button, the more people that will see the live stream. So Joe Biden, let's start with Joe Biden apparently not knowing where he is anymore. I don't say this to even be funny. He doesn't know where he is. Here we go.
Is it on mute?
One more time for those in the back. Was Joe Biden. That was Joe Biden in Keene, New Hampshire. Hold on, you guys didn't hear that? Let me play it again. Oh, the desktop audio is not working again. The desktop audio is not working. Hold on one second.
Is it? Oh, you gotta play it. Play it. That's how I know if it's working or not.
If you're not
Oh
satisfied,
yeah, you
have
changed
another
something here.
option.
That's why. That's why. You changed this. Like you're not supposed to change this.
I didn't press anything.
You didn't press this?
No.
No?
Nope.
Where is that? I just want to see. I just need to hear something. Just anything, just so I can.
Hold on one second.
Where's the clip you just had?
I'm fine.
Or anything on YouTube? I just need to hear the sound of it on the computer.
If this would load.
I'm back. I've been here a number of times. Last time was, I think, all the way back in 2014, but I've been here before that. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it, and what a neat town. I mean, this is a number of times. Last time was, I think, all the way back in 2014, but I've been here before that. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it, and what a neat town. I mean, this is sort of a scenic, beautiful town. The mayor's been a good guy, and everybody's been really friendly. I like Keene a lot.
One more time for those in the back. This is Joe Biden in front of a diner in New Hampshire. Let's hear where he thinks he is.
I'm back. I've been here a number of times. Last time was, I think, all the way back in 2014, but I've been here before that. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it, and what a neat town. I mean, this is sort of a scenic, beautiful town. The mayor's been a good guy, and everybody's been really friendly. I like Keene a lot.
That would be Joe Biden in Vermont, in New Hampshire, thinking he's in Vermont. And for Biden apologists, you could say, well, you know, New Hampshire and Vermont, pretty close to each other. I mean, a quick Google search, distance between Keene, New Hampshire, and Vermont would give you 2 hours and 25 minutes. 2 hours and 25 minutes. So when you're in a state or a city, when you're campaigning, occasionally you might forget what day it is. But when you're in front of a diner in New Hampshire, the first primary state on the calendar, and you're saying you're in Vermont, I would think that is a problem. I would think that is a problem. So that was Joe Biden just yesterday. And now let's hear another doozy. And again, this is not to mock him. This is not to make fun of somebody who's having cognitive issues. But frankly, occasionally you might forget what. This is somebody who is struggling cognitively to finish sentences, to remember where he is, to remember dates. Here's another troubling statement from Joe Biden on the campaign trail.
Sure, it's only affordable. If you're not satisfied.
Why is it playing out loud now? Is it supposed to play off the desktop like that?
How's it playing?
You have another option.
I don't understand what's wrong. Like it's playing. You want it to play. Just turn this down if you think it's too loud.
Oh, it's supposed to play off the desktop. I didn't know that.
They can't hear it. They can only hear the desktop. The only thing they can hear is you if you start talking.
High quality option. If you're not satisfied, you have another option. High quality options. The public option will be available in my plan. We'll make sure it's not. If you're not satisfied, you have another option. High quality options. The public option will be available in my plan. We'll make sure it's not quality. We'll make sure it's only affordable. Quality that's affordable.
One more time for those in the back.
If you're not satisfied, you have another option. High quality options. The public option will be available in my plan. We'll make sure it's not quality. We'll make sure it's only affordable. Quality that's affordable.
So he's saying we'll make sure it's not quality, which you could say that's a Freudian slip. That's what they call those, a Freudian slip. But I don't think that's a Freudian slip. I think Joe Biden is struggling to complete his sentences. And I think Joe Biden is struggling to basically stay awake. What I mean by stay awake isn't like keep his eyes open. What I mean by stay awake is to publicly speak, to have stamina. And this is not uncommon when you get older. It doesn't happen for all older people, but you should know where you are in front of a diner in New Hampshire. You should know when you're saying it will not be, we'll make sure that it's high quality. He says we'll make sure that it's not quality. I mean, this is somebody who's clearly on the cognitive decline. And, I'm not a psychiatrist. We're not trying to play one on the internet. But Donald Trump is of a different cognitive malfunction. Donald Trump is a megalomaniac. He's a narcissist. He probably has split personality disorder if you look it up. But what he isn't, he is energetic. He's not forgetting things. He's not misstating he has misstated things in the past. But Joe Biden, this is on a daily basis. And this starts to explain why Joe Biden's campaign, it's kind of like, if you look at it from Joe Biden's campaign's point of view, to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one, I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about the people that work for him. And Jen, I would love your thoughts in the super chat. I mean, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't put him on the campaign trail and you keep him at home and you don't have him campaign like a normal candidate, then frankly, there's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be media whispers. There's going to be pressure from the media, from other candidates. Well, if you can't campaign on a regular schedule, then you shouldn't be running for president. And there's going to be a lot of speculation if you don't put him out there. But thank you very much, Big Baby Zubas Dollar in the super chat. And as a reminder, this is a super chat. Before our technology went out, we had 1,200 of you watching. Now we have a little bit less, which is okay. It's later in the day. But really appreciate the super chats. And big announcement. We are now at 700 members. I'll have to get for tomorrow. I'll have to get an effect where we could have fireworks and things like that. 700 Status Quo members, big milestone. Thank you to our newest member, Alex. So in the last hour, we've gotten Suzanne, we've gotten Jenny, we've gotten Alex. And if you weren't here earlier, it's a reminder for those of you that might want to sign up today. Tomorrow, on Monday, we will be having our monthly members call. That's with Jen and I. It's through video, and all members get an invite. So whether you're $5 a month, $10 a month, you'll get an invite. It's a video call, so you'll see my face, I'll see yours, and we have a good time. You can ask questions, comments, questions about status quo, questions about the campaign. We have a good time. Last time, I think we had like close to 40 or 50 of you. It's through Zoom too. So we'll have it tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern, so you could sign up as a member up until then if you want, and you'll get an invite to that. Again, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time tomorrow. Thank you, Jedi Mullet, $5 in the super chat. The corporate media is doing their job. They bring us the corporate perspective of the news. Couldn't agree more. And I got more on the corporate media for you in a little bit. Thank you, Vicky S., $20 in the super chat. The New York Democratic State Committee voted to change the date for voters changing party affiliation, but the New York Board of Election decided to not implement this policy. Most New Yorkers think they have till February, but the official date is October 11th. Vicky S., I'm learning from you, and I live in New York. Hey, Jen, do you mind copying that so we could look into that here in New York? I do recall at least reading that they were changing the deadline to February 2020, that you could change your registration, but it would not surprise me if now the New York Democratic Committee is screwing around with it. So I will look into that. Thank you, Vicky S. Remind me on that, Jen. And Jen's putting this in the super chat that we have a members call tomorrow. So here's another thing that's not necessarily a gaffe per se, but it is Joe Biden being delusional. Here's Joe Biden with a Fox News reporter, no less.
The afternoon was at a smaller venue, but there was still room in the back. So I had a chance to ask him what he thinks when he sees event of the afternoon was at a smaller venue, but there was still room in the back. So I had a chance to ask him what he thinks when he sees a more progressive primary candidate like Elizabeth Warren on TV with a crowd in the thousands.
No. It depends on what the nature of the event is. What I'm trying to do is go around from town to town, and I'm drawing as bigger crowds or bigger than anybody. Have you seen anybody draw bigger crowds than me here in this state?
Yes.
Well, you have. Where?
In Des Moines.
In Des Moines?
In Des Moines. And the former vice president didn't seem to like that because a few minutes later,
One more time for those of you in the back.
he singled me. His first event of the afternoon was at a smaller venue, but there was still room in the back. So I had a chance to ask him what he thinks when he sees a more progressive primary candidate like Elizabeth Warren on TV with a crowd in the thousands.
No. It depends on what the nature of the event is. What I'm trying to do is go around from town to town, and I'm drawing as bigger crowds or bigger than anybody. Have you seen anybody draw bigger crowds than me here in this state?
Yes.
Well, you have. Where?
In Des Moines.
In Des Moines?
In Des Moines.
So I don't often praise Fox News, but that's a pretty funny clip. And that's, I mean, whatever, he's a Fox News reporter, so we won't, give him that much credit. But he's there, he sees. And it's very like Trumpian, where he's like, have you seen bigger crowds than me? Have you seen bigger crowds than me? Well, I haven't been to Iowa yet this campaign trail. That's why we need to grow Status Coup, become a member, statuscoup.com/join. But I will say, I've seen Joe Biden here in New York. Marcus, our reporter, has seen him in Nevada. I'm pretty sure from everything I'm reading that he's getting some of the smallest crowds of any candidate, much less the last vice president. And when you say crowd size really, Michael's saying crowd size really, don't let the corporate media distract you and don't let them confuse you. Crowd size does matter. Donald Trump, whatever you want to say about him, in 2016, he had humongous crowds for the most part. So did Bernie Sanders. The media likes to make it seem like Donald Trump had the biggest crowds. Bernie Sanders actually had bigger crowds than him. I covered both candidates. But crowd size does matter, because you want to know who didn't have big crowds? Hillary Clinton. So it matters if you have enthusiasm and energy and bodies showing up. And, this is just one event. But here's Joe Biden held a rally down the street from President Trump. Look right here in Manchester, New Hampshire, while thousands packed the southern New Hampshire University area to hear President Donald Trump speak, about 30 supporters of Joe Biden gathered at the Portland Pie Company to talk about the former vice president's campaign. New Hampshire, first primary state. They are extremely, extremely politically active and engaged there. Got 30 people. 30 people. Yes, you could say, well, Jordan, it's a pizza place, what do you expect? 30 people. He can't get much, not just the city, he can't get the state he is in correct. He is talking about, I promise it'll be poor quality, about his health care plan. Politico had a piece earlier, I think it was last week, saying, quoting, unnamed Democratic Party people, saying he seems to be making these cognitive misstatements later at night. Well, should we have if he becomes a nominee, do we need to have the general election debates at 8 in the morning for Joe? And I want to be clear, because some of you in the audience, might have grandparents that either have a cognitive or mental deficiency as they get older. Obviously, there's different issues you could have, from Alzheimer's to dementia. A lot of things one could have. We're not diagnosing Joe Biden with anything. We're not doctors, and I don't wish Joe Biden ill. I know Jen doesn't either. But what we are is journalists, and part of journalism is just speaking what's in front of your eyes. The gaffes that Joe Biden was known for in his Senate career, in his vice presidential career, were not Joe Biden forgetting where he is. It was not Joe Biden like stumbling through words. It was not Joe Biden like saying, "Oh, my time is up." They were just stupid things to say, politically insensitive, incorrect things to say. And reporters that keep using the terminology of gaffes are frankly misreporting what is happening, because these are not gaffes. And of course, the reason they are calling it gaffes is because they don't want to lose access. They don't want to lose access to Biden, to his advisors, and to his campaign. That's the truth. And that's why status quo is doing very well. Not to, sound like Trump and, status quo, our crowd sizes are so huge. We did just pass 61,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And thank you to our original subscribers. We did just hit, like a minute ago, 700 status quo members. We're not done. So if you're not a member, we still want to grow more. So become a member, statusquo.com/join. We're also, doing really well on the GoFundMe. We're at 67,690. So we would love to get to 68,000. So anything you could pitch in makes a difference. Jen will put it in the super chat here. That's Status Quo's GoFundMe. But why I say all this is because the reporters here, if Joe Biden becomes the nominee, and if he loses, which I don't really think is an if, I think he would lose. I think it's very clear he would lose to Donald Trump. And all of them have their blank stares like they did on November 8th, 2016. They are culpable for not reporting blinking red light, red flags right in front of them. And you don't have to say it in a way that is mocking Joe Biden. You don't have to say it in an insensitive way. You have to say it in a, this is what's happening. Honestly, responsible reporters would be interviewing psychiatrists, would be interviewing medical professionals that say, what does this look like to you? With Hillary Clinton, it was different because, when she fainted or fell or whatever happened with her, responsible doctors aren't going to comment on what she has because they don't have her medical file. And that's why when I was at the Young Turks, I said, I could get a lot of clicks right now if I say Hillary Clinton has this, that, or the other thing, but I'm not going to do that because I'm responsible and I'm not going to just engage in clickbait speculation. But in this case, it's right in front of your eyes. Every single time he's opening his mouth, there's a cognitive failure. And to me, the things that are more concerning are not him confusing Vermont with New Hampshire. You shouldn't confuse what state you're in, but putting that aside. And by the way, if all these other misstatements, stumbles, and clear cognitive difficulties weren't happening, then you could kind of excuse, any candidate. Maybe a candidate would say, "Oh, it's great to be here in Nevada," when they're in South Carolina. You're zigzagging all over the country. You're lacking sleep. All those things. It could be excused. But how could you ignore it as a journalist or as a voter when it's happening in a broader sample size? Jen, you studied psychology, correct? You studied psychology. I mean, what's happening here? So, we just got another new member. Welcome, new member Nicholas. We are now at 701 status quo members. Can we get it to 705? Can we get it to 705? We're going to have to change this graphic for tomorrow's live stream. Thank you for joining the Media Revolution, Nicholas. And by the way, as a reminder, the membership, and I'll be very quick because I want to get to Biden. Membership is way more important than anything else we do. freezer if you can. Membership is way, way more important than anything else we do. Super Chats, GoFundMe, it's all great. We appreciate Super Chats. We appreciate GoFundMe. But the reason membership is so important is let me explain to you how corporate media works. Corporate media works based on advertising. So CNN, they do their propaganda for 6 to 7 minutes, and then they go to the Viagra commercial or the fossil fuel company commercial or the pharmaceutical commercial or, you know, kitchenware. Status Quo, we don't operate based on advertisements. We don't have any advertisements other than whatever the automatic stuff YouTube puts in. Status Quo, our core business model, and overall, we're going to grow many different ways. We're going to try to get some sponsorships with companies that are aligned with our values, not Goldman Sachs, not Pfizer, not Raytheon. And we're also going to try to get some distribution deals as our subscriber count grows. But liberating us from answering to anyone but the viewer is our membership, because membership just creates stable, recurring revenue that comes in every month, and that revenue helps us travel, that revenue helps us do advertising and marketing, that revenue helps us hire new people. Right now, we're at decent for a company a little over a year old, but we definitely got to grow even further. So just so you know, that's what your membership money is going to. It's to pay salaries, it's to pay for travel, it's to pay for marketing and advertising and all those things. But we don't have enough right now to hire another full-time reporter. That's a goal of ours. And we definitely, we need to hire another marketing and social media person and other staff. So definitely sign up if you can, statusquo.com/join. It is not going to luxury or anything like that. So all of this with Biden is interesting because the corporate media doesn't tell you this. But why this is interesting, to me, based on the data, the opportunity, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, the opportunity that Bernie Sanders brings is Joe Biden, his audience or his voters, their second choice is Joe Biden, is Bernie Sanders. Oh, now I'm talking like Joe Biden. Their second choice is Bernie Sanders. This is from May, but there's other more recent things that show this. Former Vice President Joe Biden is atop the field of Democratic presidential candidates in most polls, but a new survey finds that many of his supporters would be willing to back his top rival, Bernie Sanders. A Hill-Harris poll released Wednesday found that 27% of registered voters who support Biden said Sanders was their second pick to become the Democratic nominee. So 27% of Joe Biden supporters support Bernie Sanders as their second choice. Then we look at the most recent Hill-Harris survey, which Morning Consult, which is a pretty reliable poll. It's one of the better ones. Bernie, solid second place, 20%, Biden 31%, Elizabeth Warren at 15%, Kamala Harris 9%. But what's interesting here, again, second choice of Biden supporters, you see it right there. 25% of Biden supporters support Bernie Sanders as their second choice. Elizabeth Warren, third choice. So why this is important? Let's say you're the Democratic Party, right? Let's say you're being genuine. Keyword, genuine. And your main desire and the most important thing is you have to defeat Donald Trump no matter what. You have to defeat Donald Trump no matter what. Well, if you see the person that all of the groupthink is saying can beat Donald Trump better than anyone else and has the best chance to beat Donald Trump, if you see the person clearly, I don't know what other way to say it, not well, right? Wouldn't you want to go with the second, with the person next up? And by the way, I mean, I'm not going to be like a polling truther, but I don't necessarily completely agree or believe every single one of these polls, because most of these polls way undersample voters under 50, which is obviously Bernie Sanders' wheelhouse. And welcome new Status Quo member, Matthew. So we are now at 702 702 status quo members. Keep it coming, folks. And by the way, if you don't know, tomorrow night, just reminding you, Jen and I are having our members-only video call at 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. So you could become a member. If you become a member before tomorrow night, you'll be invited to the video call. We have a lot of fun. And again, you can become a member for as low as $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. This is how we grow the media revolution. So, why I'm bringing up that Biden supporters, their top choice, their second choice, is Bernie Sanders. If the Democratic Party is sincere and the only thing that matters is beating Donald Trump, wouldn't, if you see a giant iceberg in front of the Titanic, wouldn't you jump out as soon as humanly possible? Wouldn't you, as soon as humanly possible, move the ship, to the left, to the right? Wouldn't you, as quickly as possible, start gathering the life jackets? Iceberg, right ahead. It's right in front of you, folks. All 470 of you watching. And by the way, got 470 people watching. Only 238 of you have pressed that like button. So if we could get 200 more of you to press that like button, the more people will see this live stream. So press the like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video call. And yes, and for those who asked, every single member, whether you're $5, $10, will be invited to tomorrow's members call. And by the way, this is also includes our patrons. We don't want to forget about you. So members and patrons will be invited to our video call tomorrow. Hope you can make it 7:30 Eastern tomorrow. So, as you see the Titanic, I just have to ask, and it's in the headline, when is the Democratic Party elite going to pull Joe Biden off the campaign trail and send him home to be with his family where he belongs? I'm not trying to be a shock jock on the radio. I'm not trying to have fun at Joe's expense. What I am saying is this man is not well. Jen and I text back and forth. Sometimes Jen sends me whatever the Joe Biden fail of the day is. Sometimes I send her. And we both, each time, I'm not kidding, say, his family really needs to step in. Or this is sad. Even to the point where we feel bad for him. I don't like Joe Biden. I think his policies are bad. I think he's regressive. I think when he says make America America again, which he said make America America again, I think what he means is let's move the corruption back to the back rooms. Let's not have it out in the open again. Let's move it back where people can't see it, and we won't tweet about it, and everything will be nice neoliberal again. That's what he means. But that doesn't mean that, we want him to be unwell, but we think responsible people in the Democratic Party, if there's any left, need to tell him, you got to drop out, Joe, because this is only going to get worse. And by the way, America, Anthony Valenti, $2 in the super chat. Seth Rich Hero, Argentina collapse on way here. Okay. I'd love to know more about the Argentina collapse and Seth Rich Hero. Sure. But remember, Jimmy Carter lost for a lot of reasons in the 1980 election. But one thing that, put the nail in his coffin was that crushing moment during that debate. Oh, no, it wasn't. Ronald Reagan said that to his, was it Jimmy Carter or Walter Mondale? When Ronald Reagan said, I won't hold your youth and inexperience against you, debate moments matter. And if Joe Biden, during a debate with President Trump, is stumbling and bumbling and forgetting words and forgetting thoughts, that's it. People, even with Donald Trump, there is no drop. There is no chance that Americans are going to vote for someone that doesn't look well. I'm sorry. Maybe I will be wrong. Maybe I will be wrong, and maybe there will be a recession that says, hey, I'll put somebody in a coma in office if we could get Donald Trump out, but I don't see it. And really, the way you get Donald Trump out, you have to do more than just keep Hillary Clinton's voters. You have to do more than pull some of Donald Trump's voters away. you have to bring out more black people, you have to bring out more Latinos, and you have to bring out more people ages 18 to 29. Believe it or not, don't listen to CNN. That's why Hillary Clinton lost. She had less black voters, she had less Latino voters, she had less young voters compared to Obama in 2012. So I don't want to hear, I really, really don't want to hear it from the Democratic Party if they make Joe Biden the nominee, because you have every single red flag is waving around and they're ignoring it. And by the way, the corporate media is mostly ignoring it by calling it gaffes and by pretending this is just Joe being Joe. As a reminder, 60% of his grassroots, I'm using grassroots loosely, his grassroots online donations came in the first week of his campaign. Since then, it has fallen off a cliff. Joe Biden raised $4.6 million online on his first day in the 2020 presidential race, surprising doubters who thought the former vice president couldn't run a modern campaign. But since then, his online fundraising has tumbled, looking more like flash-in-the-pan opponent Beto O'Rourke than top-tier rivals. So, I hope everybody saves this video. I've been blaring it out as far and wide as I could say it. Iceberg right ahead. And this isn't even about whether you support Bernie Sanders. This is about, do you want to defeat Donald Trump or do you not? I'm not saying that the Democratic Party establishment, if they do the right thing and knock Biden out, I'm not naive. I'm not saying they're all going to just jump around Bernie because like he's the one who will clearly win. I'm saying get Joe Biden out, and then you could push whatever establishment phony you want. You want to go push Pete Buttigieg? Go push Pete Buttigieg. You want to go push Kamala for the people of Wall Street Harris? Go push her. But push somebody that could finish a sentence. Push someone that knows where they are. Push somebody that within 24 hours of the worst two mass shootings back to back in American history knows which cities they happened in. Is that asking for too much? I'm down. If the Democratic Party establishment wants to rally around another faux progressive or faux-gressive, as my viewers say, fine. But Joe Biden is going to lose if he's the nominee. And by the way, in fairness, he is leading in the polls right now. But so was Hillary Clinton at this time. And we all know how that worked out for President Clinton there. So before I get on to the next topic, I want to reset things a little bit. We got 555 people watching right now, which is awesome. We just got another new Status Quo member. This is awesome, guys. We're now at 703, 703 Status Quo members. I want to welcome new Status Quo member, Judd. So we are now 703. Can we get to 705? We also have our GoFundMe going, which is awesome. We're at $67,717. So thank you. We just got one from Patrick at $27. So now we're just $283 from 68,000. So if there is a wonderful patriot watching in the audience or somebody who's watching internationally that wants to get us to 68,000, you will be my BFF. And I'm sure Jen's BFF too. And speaking of Jen, earlier in the day, I tried to play this video, but our internet tanked. So hopefully, second time is the charm. Jen did a great video and report on the DNC's latest screwery. If you don't know, the Democratic Party is continuing to hoard money from fossil fuel companies. They are also basically trying to screw Tulsi Gabbard out of being on the debate stage for the third debate in Houston next month. And they are essentially broke. That's why they're taking money from fossil fuel companies, pharmaceutical companies. That's why Tom Perez is literally having to go to Mexico to fundraise because they can't raise money in America. You would think, well, maybe the Democratic Party, if they're having such trouble, could, I don't know, change their policy and latch on to popular policies. Maybe they'll be able to raise money then. Not so much. Here's Jen reporting on the latest douchebaggery from Tom Perez and the DNC.
Hey there, it's Jen coming at you with an update about what's going on at the DNC summer meeting and the efforts groups like the Sunrise Movement are making to try to get the DNC to allow the 2020 presidential candidates to have a climate-focused debate. Seems like a simple thing, seems like something the DNC would want to allow. Climate change is the most pressing issue that we face right now. I mean, some people might debate that, but climate change is connected to everything, our economy, health, the health of our people, absolutely everything. And we have just over 10 years to figure this out. So you would think that the DNC would want their candidates debating this out, so the people can see who has the best policies, who has the best plans, to really dig in and get a sense for where these candidates plan to take us with relation to climate change. Well, if you thought that the DNC as a whole would care about having such a debate, you would be wrong, because as you'll see, they've voted down every possible avenue. They are blocking this debate, and I think you will not be surprised to learn a potential reason why. But first, let's kind of start from the beginning and look at what the Sunrise Movement has posted about who supports the climate debate in the first place. So 20 out of 23 Democratic presidential candidates, great. Nearly 2/3 of Democratic voters, fantastic. Over 100 DNC voting members. And then they posted this video showing some of this debate amongst the DNC voting members. And this is a Twitter video, which tends to freeze up my computer, so apologies if it does. I'm going to make it larger here.
We deserve a climate debate. Please use the microphone that you have. So everyone will just calm down.
I got 300 calls this week on this, and as a lifelong organizer, as a party leader, I can't ignore the grassroots in this moment.
This conversation is key, but it is frankly, if we wanted to make substantive changes to our primary process, a conversation we should have had last summer.
But who the hell decided it? Who was the DNC who decided it? Nobody here decided it. We never had a discussion at the DNC meeting about how we would decide it. Are we props to be managed, or are we the deciding body of the party? We have hundreds of young people representing hundreds of thousands, millions. We have our constituents here saying, please have a discussion on climate change.
So what you saw there was a compilation, and 1 second while I try to get Twitter to close out here. You saw a compilation of DNC members as well as activists. So you saw the Sunrise Movement activists who are trying desperately to get these DNC members to pay attention, to listen to the grassroots. Then you saw people like Simone Sanders, who used to work for the Bernie campaign back in 2016, but who has now apparently sold her soul to the devil and works for the Biden campaign now. And she's totally flip-flopped on like all of the previous stances that we thought she held. And now she's, collecting her money as a centrist Democrat, which fine. If that's how she wants to make her money, that's totally fine. But what's not fine is that people like her are shutting down this potential for a climate debate. She said, oh, we should have made that decision earlier if we were going to. It's too late to change the process. Then we have other people who are DNC voting members like James Zogby, who is a member of the Sanders Institute, who is, he's fantastic. If you're not familiar with James Zogby, definitely look him up. But you have people like him who on that video you saw, like, who made this decision? Are we not the voting body who is supposed to have made this decision? He seemed to be saying, I didn't make this decision to not allow for a climate debate. So who made the decision? We have to listen to the grassroots. We have to listen to these activists who are representative of the people in this country. And people like Simone Sanders, had the, it's too late. It's too late. So let's also talk about, where does our DNC chair, Tom Perez, where does he stand on this? I think you can probably guess, but let's take a look anyway. So Mr. Perez, this was Evan Weber, who is a political strategist with the Sunrise Movement, the grassroots movement of mostly young people who are trying to force conversation on climate change, if you're not familiar with them. So this was posted yesterday morning, 11:47 a.m. Breaking: the DNC Resolutions Committee democratically passed a climate debate compromise resolution, and it appears that Tom Perez is trying to kill it. He says it would disrupt the process the candidates have agreed to. All the candidates want a climate debate, so that can't get lost. The people want a climate debate. The candidates want a climate debate. Everybody wants a climate debate, except for people like Simone Sanders and Tom Perez, our DNC chair. It gets worse, if you can believe it, when it comes to Tom Perez. So once Perez said he plans to vote against a climate debate rule, I'll play a little bit of it. I won't make it bigger, just because you can just mostly hear what's said and not see very much. But when Perez said that he planned to vote against a climate debate related rule, the people there broke out in chants of failure of leadership. So you kind of get the idea. The people are very much in favor of this climate change debate. They want it. The candidates want it. Tom Perez, no. And we'll get into why that possibly is in a second. But unfortunately, it's a little bit confusing because there were two votes. There was one on Thursday that was more specific, that was voted down. And then Saturday, there was one that was less specific that was voted down. So there were two voted down, in essence killing the chance for a climate debate. And people were very, very upset, especially yesterday, because it seemed like kind of a last-ditch hope. So this is a CNN article by Adam Levy and Leila Santiago. Democratic National Committee votes against allowing 2020 candidates to participate in a climate change debate. Democratic National Committee members on Saturday voted down a resolution that would have resulted in single-issue debates among candidates, including on the issue of climate crisis. The language that was rejected, inserted at the behest of climate change activists, so those are the Sunrise Movement, people like that, during a contentious resolutions committee meeting on Thursday, said the DNC will continue to encourage candidates to participate in multi-candidate issue-specific forums, with candidates appearing on the same stage, engaging one another in discussion. Democratic presidential candidates are barred from appearing together on stage outside of DNC-sanctioned debates. So if you are saying, well, even if they can't have kind of the regular debate, even if the DNC won't put it together, can't they have their own? The answer is no, because of what they just voted on. So the committee's approved language from Thursday essentially lifted the ban on candidates being unable to appear together on a stage at a forum or candidate gathering. And DNC members defeated the move to lift the ban on Saturday in a 222 to 137 vote. And it does say that the vote counting was monitored. And prior to the voting, DNC Chairman Tom Perez set up a system for members on both sides to speak about their reasoning. So the text approved in committee also conflicted with the resolution itself, because it stated the DNC concluded that it should not hold debates devoted to one specific topic. It looks like the CNN has a little typo there. Nor can it agree to requests for such debates by individual presidential candidates. It goes on to call for the DNC and its partners and organizations to organize climate-specific forums and invite all candidates to attend and speak at such forums. So this actually is is talking about like town halls, and CNN is actually going to host a climate specific town hall which candidates are going to take part in, but that's different than a debate. So it's one thing to have one candidate at a time talking about climate change, talking about their plans and policies, but it's another thing entirely to actually have the debate where other candidates can challenge each other on specific points in their plan, and where people can get a real feel for who sits where, because it's different. You know, one person talking about their plans and policies, they're going to paint it as the greatest thing ever. It needs to be challenged. People need to find the holes in those plans. Candidates need to poke holes in each other's plans. That is how we get the real discussion going surrounding climate change or any other topic. Debate is how we get to the heart of who has the best plans and policies, who should become the next president. But the DNC doesn't see it that way. So they're going to allow, for example, CNN says CNN will host one of these forums on September 4th, when all 10 candidates who qualified for the next debate will participate in individual town halls on the climate crisis. So again, not a debate, a town hall. Beto O'Rourke called out the DNC over its decision, tweeting, "The decision is as baffling as it is alarming. Our planet is burning. The least we can do as a party is to debate what to do about it." And it has to be mentioned, and I believe in other sections of today, in today's marathon, we will be talking about the Amazon fire. So this decision comes as the world is literally burning down. The DNC can't deal with a climate-focused debate. Meanwhile, the Amazon is burning. Everything is burning. Things are flooding. We're reaching the point of no return here, and the DNC can't be bothered. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren also voiced support on Twitter for a climate-focused debate. "Climate change is an existential threat that threatens all of us, and we need to take bold action now to stop it before it's too late. That's why we need to have a #climate debate." A resolution so this is the previous resolution that I talked about that was voted down on Thursday, that called for a climate crisis debate outright. And that only had the support of 60 DNC members, which is shocking in and of itself. So the fact that the Thursday resolution was voted down pretty severely, and that's the one that specifically called for the climate crisis debate, that is alarming. And then that the kind of watered down language one was even voted down yesterday. They talk here about Simone Sanders and how she was hissed and booed for not supporting calls for the debate. I mean, good for those people who hissed and booed her, because the world is burning, Simone. We need to have a debate about it. Supporters of the DNC decision to not allow single-issue debates voice strong concern that special interest groups for issues the party supports, like veterans, race, and poverty, would feel slighted if their issues were excluded from sanctioned debates. So let me get this straight. Because we can't have single-issue debates on absolutely everything, we apparently can't have a single-issue debate about anything. That doesn't make any sense. People agree that climate change is the issue that we need to be focused on. I would be all for also a Medicare for all single issue debate. All of these issues are important. Veterans, very important. But climate change reaches that next level by multitudes, in my opinion. It deserves focus. It deserves to be its own debate. And if that means, even if that means that other issues don't get that debate, I think that's okay. And to use that as an excuse is kind of despicable. And then it reiterates that failure of leadership chants were pointed at Tom Perez. So what we have here is a big old mess. There are no two ways about it. It's a huge, huge mess that the voters of the DNC, who are supposed to represent everyday people, who are supposed to represent Democrats want this debate. People want this debate. The candidates want this debate. They don't care. They aren't listening. The voters in the DNC are a huge, huge problem. Tom Perez is a huge, huge problem. So let's look at why this might be. Why would Democrats at the top of the party not want a climate-focused debate? Let's see. And again, you probably will not be surprised. So Sludge came out with this article on the 23rd. And so this was the 23rd, I think, was Friday. So this was the day after the climate debate specific language was voted down on Thursday at this DNC summer meeting, but before it was totally killed yesterday. So written by Donald Shaw, a Money and Politics reporter. And Sludge is very good on money and politics if you're not familiar with this media outlet. So this is called "The DNC is Taking Thousands from Fossil Fuel Executives." Aha! So now it's becoming clearer why the DNC wouldn't want a climate-focused debate. As it rejects the climate debate, the DNC is taking big contributions from individuals who own and run companies that profit from the burning of oil, gas, and coal. Do you think the oil, gas, and coal industry wants a climate-focused debate? No, they do not. So at the top of the article here, they reiterate that the resolution on Thursday was voted down. Then a Sludge review, a Sludge review of Federal Election Commission records suggests that there could be another explanation for the vote. Since January, the DNC has taken at least $60,750 from owners and executives of fossil fuel companies. The DNC's fossil fuel industry donors include George Kroom, founder of Kroom Oil Company, who contributed $20,000, and Stephen Hightower, president and CEO of Hightower Petroleum Company, who contributed $35,500. Other donors include Duke Energy president C.J. Triplett, Crystal Flash executive Thomas Fensfeld, and Southern Petroleum Resources President David Simpkins. Unlike the leading Democratic presidential candidates who have all signed the No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge, a promise to reject campaign contributions over $200 from fossil fuel PACs, lobbyists, and executives, the DNC is welcoming fossil fuel money. In August 2018, it approved a resolution from Chairman Tom Perez, ding ding, stating that it will accept donations from fossil fuel industry employees and their political action committees. The resolution, which also references America's all-of-above energy economy, meaning the burning of coal, oil, and gas alongside renewable energy sources, was criticized by environmental groups for gutting an earlier resolution that barred the DNC from accepting contributions of fossil fuel PACs. The DNC also has former fossil fuel lobbyists among its leadership. Associate Chairman Jamie Harrison lobbied for the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity from 2009 to 2012 while working for Podesta Group. The coalition represents major American coal companies like Murray Energy and Peabody Energy, and while Harrison was lobbying for the group, it fought against President Obama's Clean Power Plan and other climate-related regulations. A DNC-hosted climate debate, which is supported by environmental activists like those from the youth-led Sunrise Movement, would likely highlight the differences between the Democratic candidates' views on climate change. Of course it would, and that's the point. That's the goal. And as Status Quo also reported, Bernie Sanders just released his own version of the Green New Deal plan, which would call for spending $16.3 trillion to start working on climate change. It is the boldest plan we've seen from any candidate. So then they talk about the general session that it was going to hold, and now, as I'm reading this, that has happened in the past. The general session on Saturday was also voted down, and they note that Perez opposes holding a climate debate. So then we go down here and they show exactly the contributions. Again, the source is the FEC, so you can easily look that up and get this data yourself as well. But again, from January 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2019, these are the fossil fuel executives donating to the DNC. And I want to reiterate that it's because of the August 2018 resolution stating, from Chairman Tom Perez, stating that it will accept donations from fossil fuel employees and their PACs. So this is a Tom Perez problem, but he is just representative of establishment centrist Democrats as a whole. The DNC is taking money from fossil fuel companies, from fossil fuel executives. It has lobbyists in its midst. There are people who, with their dollars and with their pressure, are actively working against any conversation surrounded to climate and who do not want real change. So when we look at, as I showed you at the top of this, when we look at who supports the climate debate, 20 of 23 Democratic presidential candidates, nearly 2/3 of Democratic voters, over 100 DNC voting members. So what the answer to the question, why won't DNC leadership listen? It's partially, at least, because they're accepting money from fossil fuel executives, because there are a lot of powerful people in powerful positions, even and especially among Democrats. I mean, there's no getting around the fact that this is like rampant in the Republican Party, and of course they don't want, a climate change debate. But I'm sure actually a lot of like real people Republicans, like everyday people Republicans, I think a lot of them were very worried about the climate. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't believe in the science because there are very powerful lobbies against that. But that's a whole other video, a whole other topic. Amongst the Democratic Party, it's those powerful forces, those powerful dollars, and they're the reason why the earth is burning, but no one cares up in the higher Democratic leadership, because they are getting their money, because they have powerful people amongst them. They don't want to talk about the climate. It's not about those other reasons. Oh, it's too late. We should have made this decision earlier. It's not about that. It's not about, oh, if we talked about climate, then we'd have to have a single debate on every topic. No, it's not about that. It's about the money. It's about the power. It's about these powerful interest groups and the fact that fossil fuel companies are not going to go down without a fight. So I was actually, to kind of wrap this up, pretty impressed because Tim Ryan has come out with a statement kind of saying, F you guys, DNC. So Sunrise Movement tweeted Tim Ryan calling on other 2020 contenders to join together for a climate debate in spite of the DNC's ruling and threat of punishment. Again, if these candidates hold a debate anyway, or show up on stage together and debate, they get in trouble. So Tim Ryan is calling for doing it anyway, even if they get in trouble. So Sunrise Movement has tagged in Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke to try to get them to kind of agree with Tim Ryan and agree to all go in together and do this anyway. So Tim Ryan's statement, I don't know why it's not getting bigger. Anyway, hopefully you can read that. Congressman Tim Ryan calls for climate debate in Youngstown. Presidential candidate invites other candidates to Northeast Ohio to discuss the issue in front of audience of steelworkers, miners, and others who would benefit from a green economy. Today, presidential candidate Tim Ryan called on the Democratic primary field to end the exclusivity agreement to allow candidates to discuss their plans in front of the American people in light of the DNC's failure to vote to hold a climate debate. He talks about how it's a disappointment and how he wants this debate anyway. So I think that's kind of cool. I mean, it's obviously, it's a tactic. I mean, he wants people to pay attention to him. He's not anyone people are like super excited about, but it doesn't matter, because I think if the candidates all decide to band together and say, look, DNC, we all want this debate. The people want this debate. The earth needs this debate. We're all going to do it anyway. I mean, can they kick all of them out? Can they ban all of them from DNC sanctioned debates? Because I think that's what they threaten them with. Like, oh, if you do this, if you break the rules, then you won't be allowed in our debates. So, but if they all band together, like imagine Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and well, Joe Biden, he probably won't do it, but Kamala Harris, if they band together and have this climate debate anyway and say, screw you, DNC, we are here for the people, that would be kind of badass. I think that'd be very, very cool. And I hope that's what happens. I don't really think it will, but we'll see. 2019 is a very surprising year. Stranger things have happened. Maybe these candidates will band together and have a climate change focused debate anyway. So we will stay on this story. We will stay on what the Sunrise Movement is doing and update you. All right, please hit that like button, consider becoming a member so we have the resources to stay on stories like this. Go to statuscoup.com/join. Thank you. I think that'd be very, very cool. And I hope that's what happens. I don't really think it will.
Awesome reporting by Jen Dyes of Status Coup on the DNC's democracy, or shall we just say, legalized sale to the highest bidder. Usually fossil fuel companies, also not to be left out, pharmaceutical companies, and all the usual suspects. Good report by Jen. That's another thing we're trying to do at Status Coup. To give you a reminder here, we're now at 705 Status Coup members, so we've gotten a heck of a lot of new members today. We're trying to get to a level that we can not only hire a new reporter, but also hire somebody to take some of the marketing and business development stuff off of Jen's plate so that Jen could focus more on research and reporting, because Jen is very, very good at researching things, finding where the bodies are buried, breaking news. She was very, very instrumental in me breaking that Flint story, us breaking that Flint story. So every single member we get is another step closer to getting that revenue that we need for those reinforcements, to hire a new reporter as well as some marketing, social media help. So keep it coming, statuscoup.com/join. And if you don't know, tomorrow is our monthly members call. So you can become a member anytime before 7:30 Eastern tomorrow, and you'll get an invite to our video call. It's on video. We do it through Zoom, and we answer your questions, your comments, concerns, whatever. We'll be talking. William, Jen should swear more. I agree. I agree. She should. So we got 400 people watching. Going to go for a little bit longer. I also have an interview with a congressional candidate, a good progressive here in New York, that I'm going to air. So I'm going to end with that interview. But before that, want to do some Q&A, because a lot of you stuck around. We had a couple technical glitches that Ty helped us out with. Whatever happened to Marcus? Funny you say that, Rob. I was going to air one of Marcus's reports today. He just did a report for us, but because we were off air for 2 hours with the technical problems, I'm going to put it up tomorrow. And he's also going to be in the field for us pretty soon. So Marcus is still around. He's got 3 kids, so he can't do as much all the time because he's got 3 kids. So we definitely use him when we can. He's covered Bernie Sanders in Nevada for us, Joe Biden's campaign for Nevada, us. I sound like Joe Biden. For us, and he just did a report for us that we're going to air tomorrow. Let's see.
If you answer some questions, put the chat, the live chat.
Oh, yeah. So I'll do some questions, comments, concerns right here. And as a reminder, I don't know if we're going to do it. I don't know if we can make it before I end, but we are at $67,717. OMG. And we're 8 donors away from 1,500 donors. Really awesome for a small startup media company to raise the amount of money we have raised. I really, really thank you guys for making it happen. Almost 1,500 donors, and honestly, for 3 months, we didn't even do GoFundMe because we couldn't go live. So very, very exciting. And I also missed a super chat. You are from Rob R, $4.99 in the super chat. You are falling short on Warren by not asking why is corporate media propping up Warren as a faux aggressive and trying to manufacture her as a presumptive nominee. Hey, Rob R. Rob R. I don't know if you watch Status Coup every single day, Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern time. What do I have to do? You want me to wear a Elizabeth Warren shirt with a no smoking sign in it? I have covered Elizabeth Warren and the propping up of Elizabeth Warren possibly more than anyone else. I mean, I don't watch everyone as that much because I'm busy reporting and stuff. But Jen, have we not covered what CNN and MSNBC are doing? Hell, we're the ones that broke Rob at the last debate. The fact that CNN was blocking Bernie Sanders supporters from entering the cheering section where, you know, supporters of the candidates could hold up their signs and be seen on camera. We broke that story where the cops, under direction coming from coming from direction of CNN, they were blocking Bernie Sanders supporters from entering the cheering sign, and they were cutting away immediately. The cameras were cutting away from Bernie Sanders supporters as soon as you could see Bernie Sanders supporters. They were showing Elizabeth Warren supporters with their signs very prominently. You had a nice 10 seconds of an island of Elizabeth Warren supporters, and then they cut away very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. So I think I've covered quite a lot, Elizabeth Warren and the propping up of Elizabeth Warren. If I could do more, email us, info@statuscoup.com if we're missing something. But what more can we do, Rob? I'm trying. And yes, Jen will be going back to Virginia to cover the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Jordan, I will be covering the Newark water contamination. And Marcus is reporting on guns in Nevada. So we got a lot of in-the-field stuff to come. Jordan talks about that a lot, Rob. Move on. Hey, I could take the criticism, if fair, but I have covered the manufacturing of consent of Elizabeth Warren. Larry Chu. Thanks, Jordan. Highly entertaining and refreshing. Thank you very much. And that was a great report by Jen. And we do have a report from Marcus, but in the spirit of time, because it's already 5 o'clock, almost 5 o'clock Eastern time, on a Sunday, I'm going to air it tomorrow on our channel. So, and again, if you have any ideas, news breaks, whatever, email us at info@statuscoup.com. Thank you, Anthony. Just left $5 in the GoFundMe, so we're now at $67,722. So getting closer to 68,000. Another thing we want to do at Status Coup is cover new candidates, congressional candidates in the field, locally where they are. I'm sure there might be some other Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes out there. I'm sure there might be other Rashida Tlaibs out there, some other Ilhan Omars out there, some other Ayanna Presleys out there, some other Ro Khannas out there. There's definitely progressives that, if given some media attention, could possibly get the exposure they need to run serious campaigns. So the other day I interviewed a woman named Lauren Ashcraft. She is progressive here in the New York area. She is running in the 12th District of Congress, where Carolyn Maloney is currently serving. If you know New York politics, Carolyn Maloney is kind of like a Joe Crowley. You know how Ocasio-Cortez took out Joe Crowley in New York? She's kind of the same political ilk as Joe Crowley. Very, very corporate Democrat, definitely takes money from the usual suspects, has been in office way, way too long. And I thought Lauren was very refreshing. She has a great story, a working class story, also a great family immigration story. We want to cover more of these candidates out in the field, covering their campaigns, covering them knocking on doors, covering their volunteer base, those kinds of things that no one else covers, including, frankly, no other independent media outlets. So for the 400 of you watching, for those of you who haven't signed on the dotted line, we're now at 705 Status Coup members. We're definitely growing in the right direction, but we got to keep growing. So let's keep it coming. We got 705. We have our members call tomorrow night. So anyone who's not a member now, if you want to join and get the invite to our video members call with Jen and I, join us, statuscoup.com/join. Here's my interview with Lauren Ashcraft from earlier in the week. Hey, it's Jordan. I am here. Don't mind this green screen behind me that's literally green. We'll say Status Coup is currently under construction. So, but we got Lauren Ashcraft with us. You are a New Yorker running in the 12th District against a very, very entrenched, I would say, corporate Democrat, Carolyn Maloney. Obviously, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a successful New York story as far as progressive campaigns go in 2018. And you have an interesting story, kind of mix of working class story, blue collar, meets great immigrant story. So before we get to your congressional race, kind of talk about a little bit about your background and your roots that led you to decide to run.
So, as you mentioned, I do come from an immigrant family. My grandmother, my dad's mother, is from Japan, and she met my grandfather when he was serving in the United States Air Force in Japan. And they got married and had my father, and then immigrated to the United States, specifically to Mannington, West Virginia, where my grandfather was from. And after he was finished serving in the military, he started to work in a coal mine as a miner to feed his family, and unfortunately was a victim of the 1968 Farmington mine disaster. And this unfortunately left my newly immigrated grandmother with limited English and limited understanding of the culture in the middle of West Virginia as a single mother. And she fed her family on the small Social Security checks from my grandfather's short work history. He was actually only 1 year older than I was when he passed away. And she was left with a small plot of land where she tried her best to, grow crops and feed the family as best she could. And then she worked very hard and in a foreign language for her, which is English, earned a GED, and then put herself through nursing school and worked the remainder of her adult life as a nurse, and then earned herself a retirement. So my grandmother is one of the strongest people that I've ever met, and she inspired me to fight through difficulties and fight for what's right, and inspired me to run for Congress. Because I saw, just knowing the stories of what her and my father went through facing serious racism as my father was growing up and as my grandmother was trying to provide for her family, and seeing how we're treating people coming to this country seeking a better life is really just striking a nerve with me. So she has given me everything I know about the American dream story and how I see immigration, and my grandmother until her very last day, which was unfortunately during this campaign in May. She was very, very proud to call herself an American, and so are so many other immigrants that come to this country seeking a better life. And I don't think that we have the right to look at people seeking a better life and to be able to say, not you. Like, right. If you want to come here and, become part of our culture and bring your culture with you as well and share it with us, who are we to say you're not able to become American like the rest of our ancestors as well? So my grandmother really inspired me, and I grew up with a very strong sense of what it means to come to this country and become an American. And on the other side of my family, my grandfather was a trailer mechanic and owned a small business where he repaired and sold trailers. And he fell one day and became a quadriplegic, just fell off the back of a truck. And that is how I spent my teenage years, just helping to take care of my grandfather and watching my family kind of change everything to make sure that my grandfather was cared for. And that also opened my eyes to see him being ignored by laws and his representation. And I saw everywhere that I'm walking around, everywhere that he would be prohibited from because it required someone to step up into the business or restaurant or park. And I also saw the financial burden being carried by my family and my grandfather for the cost of an electric wheelchair and for the cost of his medical care. And now that I've been sharing the stories of how I am so passionate about fighting for disability rights and visibility and accessibility for everyone, so many people have been reaching out to me to share their personal stories, which I'm so thankful for. And I hear over and over that if you're surviving on SSI payments, if you're on disability and you rely on that payment as how you're surviving and feeding yourself, and what if you're feeding your children on that too? Many times it's only a few $100s per month, and that does not cover the cost of, for example, if you need lights on your electric wheelchair, because you should be expected to be able to leave your home and go down the street like everyone else. But unfortunately, if you are surviving on SSI payments, you're basically living in abject poverty. And I have not seen representation fight for better and equal rights for those with disabilities. And that's something that's very central to my platform. And basically, in summary, I am running because I see that what representatives are fighting for are the big ticket items that are getting them big dollar donations. And that leaves everyday people with everyday struggles, new immigrants, people surviving on Social Security checks, people surviving on disability payments, and trying their very best to stretch that dollar as far as it goes. I see those people getting ignored, and I am fighting for the 100%, not just the 1%.
And the district you're running in, the 12th district, parts of Manhattan, parts of, is it Brooklyn?
Yes, parts of Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and then an island in the East River called Roosevelt Island.
Right. So Carolyn Maloney, she's been in Congress a very long time. Kind of from the Nancy Pelosi wing, I would say, very corporate. But, kind of establishment. Voters know who she is. She probably throws little crumbs here and there, but definitely not a Medicare for all type of person, a Green New Deal, these kinds of things. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Debbie Wasserman Schultz in terms of like the area she represents, the kind of more, wealthier area, particularly the Manhattan side. What inspired you to take her on, and how do you kind of take down that kind of entrenched, Democrat in New York?
Yeah, so I live here. This is my district, and I see it as being right in the middle of New York City and one of the safest blue districts there are in the whole country. And we have this opportunity right now. This is, you're seeing this movement get built and started with this progressive wave in 2018 of new Congress people. And there's another wave coming this time around across the whole country. And we have an opportunity to actually have true progressive leadership and take a very safely blue district in a truly progressive direction. And one thing that I will say about Carolyn Maloney is a lot of times she does end up eventually like signing on to things like the Green New Deal, but she has been in office for 26 years, and this climate emergency, especially now with the Amazon on fire, it's something that we should have always been cognizant about and always been vocal about. And it took brand new Congress people getting elected into office to bring this to the forefront of our conversations. And what I want is not someone who waits to see what's popular to talk about and uses the trending hashtags and buzzwords to keep her base. I want someone who's at the forefront and leading truly progressive direction in this district that should be progressive anyway. And I haven't seen that in my district, and I am really excited about being part of what's hopefully leading us in this direction in District 12.
And also gentrification, which I particularly call economic terrorism. I don't like the term gentrification, because essentially it's corporations just doing what they please, and people are very fearful of not being able to pay the rent, feed their kids, and all those things. New York City, poster child for gentrification. Affordable housing is pretty non-existent unless you're lucky enough to be in a rent-controlled apartment from the 1980s or 90s. if you were elected, how do you put a dent in that in New York City? Because obviously it's the biggest city in the world, some of the biggest corporations in the world, some of the most greedy, powerful real estate developers in the world. I don't believe Carolyn Maloney has done anything on that.
No, and if you look at who her donors are and where her donations come from, you'll see a lot of big real estate donors. I accept none of that money. No corporate PAC money, no super PAC money, no big real estate or fossil fuel industry money. And I do support universal rent control. And one of the things that I do believe has really prevented affordable housing is the fact that a lot of these representatives have taken this huge money as influence from one of the industries that keeps affordable housing out of our neighborhoods. And you can, with the Amazon second headquarters that would have been basically right outside my window, Carolyn Maloney was one of the people that kind of wavered on whether she supported this huge corporation coming and plopping down right in the middle of one of the last, and I'm using quotation marks, affordable corners of the district that would have raised the rent exorbitantly, and it would have pushed people who are clinging on to their housing out of the district. And I myself used to live in a portion of the district called Turtle Bay, and my rent kept increasing every single year that I lived there, and I got pushed out to the Queens part of the district, which was a bit of a homecoming for me because I have previously lived in Queens and happy to be here, but I am an everyday member of the district, and the lack of affordability has affected me. And I do not appreciate that so many of the representatives have taken this influence from huge real estate developers. And one of the things that we can also work on in New York City is, as you'll see in the news and also right now, there are so many rallies and protests going on, is we have dilapidated public housing. We have children in public housing that have had lead poisoning because of the lack of care and updating. We have leakage from pipes and mold in our public housing, and NYCHA as a whole has not gotten the attention that it deserves. There are so many people that rely on NYCHA to have a roof over their heads and to have a safe place for their family. And one of the things that I would like to do is ensure that public housing and housing authorities receive the funding that they need to provide stable and safe and clean and updated housing for everyone that needs it. And I do believe that housing is a human right, and we have not had the kind of vocal leadership that we need in order to make sure that everyone in our district, city, and country have a home.
And, the presidential election, obviously, Bernie Sanders has been kind of painted as out of step with America, and, people are liberal, but they don't want, universal health care or free public college or any of this stuff. New York City is a big melting pot. Got some of the wealthiest people in America, also some of the poorest.
Yes.
In the interactions you have with people during your campaign and just day to day, can you kind of talk about, do people seem against in your district, healthcare that the government would pay run, or free public college, or a $15 minimum wage, because it's being painted that it's not just the Rust Belt, it's just the entire country that is not in step with the Bernie Sanders type policies.
So this kind of question and thing being thrown around, this is why I so appreciate independent media such as your show. So thank you so much for spreading actual facts.
Thank you.
But no, I wish I didn't have to work a full-time job while I'm campaigning full-time at night and on weekends, but I'm doing it because if I didn't have health insurance, I would die, to be quite honest. And so many people are working multiple jobs multiple part-time jobs in the district to be able to pay for their not affordable housing, to be able to buy healthcare from the marketplace, which could be upwards of $1,000 a month per person. And whenever we see that District 12 is one of like the wealthiest districts in the country, we're missing the fact that that's on average, and there are so many people struggling to pay their rent and to have food on their table and to have health care, and so many people that have gone to the emergency room as they're between jobs, and they're going to be paying that bill off for the rest of their life. So no, I don't know who these media sources are talking to, but every study that I've seen shows that if everyone has universal health care, then the costs go down for everyone. And also it would increase our life expectancy, it would increase our quality of life, and wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to think about the bill you're going to get if you have to go to the emergency room? Because that should be the last thing on your mind if you need to go get urgent care. And I have a family member who actually thought for weeks that he was sick, just had some sort of stomach virus, and kept putting it off and putting it off. And the last thing he wanted to do, because he has a 1-year-old baby, is go to the ER, because he's trying to save up money to be able to pay for the baby's food and daycare, which is also not affordable, by the way. So put it off, and then eventually was so weak from not being able to eat or drink for multiple days that he had to go to the emergency room, and it ended up that he had something blocking his intestine, and if he waited one more day, the doctor said he could have died. So this is the kind of thing that people are thinking in the back of their mind, consciously or subconsciously. I am going to wait this out to see if it goes away, because I don't want that co-insurance bill, or I don't want a co-pay, or if that's if you're lucky enough to be insured. If you're not insured, then you're going to get thousands of dollars in bills, and they might just keep coming. It's awful. And I have never met anyone who's like, man, I wish I didn't have health insurance, or man, I wish I had higher co-pays, or I can't imagine. So whenever you take the party out of it, or you don't make it about Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, and talk about the fact that we have this parasitic middleman, private health insurance, that just sits in the middle between us and the hospital and sucks out this money. And they exist solely to do that. And if we take that parasitic middleman out of the equation, then costs go down for everyone. And once you explain it like that, I can't imagine that anyone would be against it.
And last question, I know from other progressives who have run kind of David Goliath campaigns, there's a lot of shenanigans in big city politics to try and stop progressive candidates and challengers from taking on incumbents, from ripping down their lawn signs to trying to get their signatures thrown off. Any issues you've been facing, whether from Maloney or anyone else, on just running a legitimate campaign or meeting deadlines and things like that?
I am a project manager by trade, and I started this race very early, and I am annoyingly organized.
Oh, perfect.
And so I also have been really blessed with having a team that has volunteered, and people have volunteered their expertise, such as attorneys and accountants and people that are helping me to dot my I's and cross my T's. So far, I have been asked to not run, and I've been trolled, and none of that bothers me. I am in this. You will see me petitioning to get on the ballot. I'm not going anywhere, and none of that bothers me.
All right.
I'm I'm also a stand-up comedian, so I'm used to being heckled anyway. So
Oh,
come at me.
You buried that. You buried that at the end. That's good. We need some comedy in these oligarchic times. How can people find out more? Whether they want to volunteer, donate, the whole nine. Where do people find you?
Yeah, so I'm at laurenashcraft.com, and if you go to that website, you will also see a very unavoidable orange donate button. Every single donation, no matter if it's small and recurring or large, if you happen to be able to, makes a huge difference for our campaign, and we're looking to make some of our first hires at this time. So thank you for considering donating to help fuel this, like you said, David and Goliath fight. But I'm not going anywhere, so you're just helping to facilitate this process by donating to our campaign. So thank you so much.
Great, and we're in the area, same area, so keep in touch as the campaign continues.
Absolutely will, and you can also find me on social media at Vote Ashcraft, and please be sure to reach out and comment and ask any questions you have.
Thanks, Lauren. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you. Ah, what a nice remembrance when I had hair in that end of that video. That was Lauren Ashcraft. She is progressive. She's running in New York, District 12, against Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. District 12 has Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Roosevelt Island. So if you want more information on her campaign, I'm sure she could use some volunteers. LaurenAshcraft.com. LaurenAshcraft.com. It is a couple minutes to 5 o'clock Eastern time, so we're going to end in a couple minutes. Let me give you a quick update here on the status quo. Remember, we go live on Sundays when everyone else is asleep or at the beach to grow status quo. So we're now at $67,722, which is awesome. Just 7 donors away from 1,500 donors in 11 months. And that 11 months is a little kind of deceiving for our GoFundMe, because for 3 of those months, we did not even talk about GoFundMe or promote it, because YouTube had stopped our ability and basically blocked us from going live for 3 months. Remember the good old days? So thank you. Keep it coming if you can to our GoFundMe. Thank you for all of the super chats today. And most importantly, we are now at 705 donors. 705 members for Status Quo. And I know I've said it a lot, but I'll remind you one last time. Tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Time, you could join Jen and I for our monthly video call for our members. All members, $5 a month, $10 a month, will be invited to the members call tomorrow. And you know the drill. If you've been on the members call, it's a lot of fun. Answer your questions, comments, ideas, whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern. And if you become a member, you'll get the invite. It's a Zoom invite. And if you're a patron, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you'll also be invited too. So I'll read the last couple comments before we peace out. Kelly Elaine, she's on my list, a good one. Yeah, I think she's good. I look forward to interviewing her in person.
Kelly Elaine is running?
Huh?
She's running?
No. That was a comment from her. So, and now you can see your comments live on screen. So this is something Ty helped us out with. So Ty did, excuse me. So thank you, Kelly, for the nice comment. Let's see. Progressive Martian. We're the only country in the world that people go bankrupt for medical bills, and over 80% of those people have insurance. This is true. This is true. Did I miss a GoFundMe? Progressive Martian. $5 in the super chat. This donation is for a new razor for Jordan. JK, love you guys. Why, thank you. I'll see if I could do this a little better for you. Maybe I'll get it at a barber, them to trim my beard and shape it. Just me, sorry, Bernie's live stream is the only one that I put before Jordan, but just heard Bernie say at a rally, House passed bill to update our voting system, include paper ballots, if I had heard him right. I could deal with you watching Bernie over me. That's acceptable. Kelly, in September, new budget. I'll send more bucks. Hey, word to that. Appreciate it, Kelly. And you've sent so much, so we appreciate it very much, very much. So, I think that's it. We're at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. I will see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And as a reminder, we'll have our members call at 7:30 Eastern Time. Thank you for those of you who watched all day. I know we had some technical glitches, but I'm glad we worked it out. Thank you to Jen for doing the super chat and for her report. Ty did a lot and helped us, so thank you to Ty, who's still living here and making a mess all over my apartment.
How long did you expect me to be living here when I got here? Who's still living here? Like, oh, you expect me out there?
And it's been a month. Thank you for watching. Remember, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no earthly clue the oligarchy, the inequality, the injustice, the corruption happening all around them. Peace out.